Hi guys, we have a lovely dish for you today, baked macaroni and cheese. If you would like to know how to make it, come along with me and I'll show you how. Good afternoon guys, welcome to Empress Views. This afternoon we will be making a baked macaroni and cheese recipe, and I'm going to take you through the list of ingredients before we proceed. We have here two blocks of 8-ounce blocks of cheese, a medium and a sharp cheddar. We have a can of Carnation evaporated milk. We are going to need some salt. We would need Pam for spraying our dish that we are going to bake it in. We have some all-purpose seasoning, a 16-ounce package or 14-ounce package of penny pasta. We have about half a bag or a little less than half a bag of mozzarella cheese that I'm going to mix. We have 2 eggs. You can use 1 egg. I'm going to use 2 eggs for this recipe. And we're going to use some flour and butter to make a roux before we start making our cheese sauce. Over here, we have a pot of boiling water that we are going to boil the pasta. And then we're going to drain the pasta and combine with the sauce. So before we start the sauce, I'm going to put the pasta to boil, and then we can continue. So in goes the pasta. You're going to put just a little bit of vegetable oil to keep them separated and moistened so that they do not stick together. And we're going to give it a mix. Now guys, when boiling pasta, don't ever cover the pot completely, because if you get busy and you take your eyes off of it, everything will spill over. Once it starts boiling, everything is going to spill over in your stove. So we're going to put the cover. However, we're going to put the cover ajar. And I'll show you what I mean. We're going to do like that. We're not going to cover completely. We're just going to leave it like that. Alright, the pasta will take, let's see, by the instruction, because some pastas take longer to cook than others. So let's see what, how much time this pasta is going to take. And it says here 7 to 9 minutes for the pasta. All right, so I'm gonna say 8 minutes to be average. Now we're going to go in here. First we have to get our pot heated. So I'm gonna light the stove. And this is to make the sauce. And we're just gonna let it heat up, and then we'll be right back. Okay guys, I'm gonna put the cheese to get grated. I'm gonna let my daughter help me with that while I prepare everything else. So this one is grated already. I will just mix it in after, and I'm going to start with the making of the roux. Okay guys, now because I would have been heating the pot for a little while, I have placed some water in there to take the temperature down. I remember I was working on another recipe the other day, and because the water from the tap has chlorine, when the water evaporates, what happens, the chlorine deposits sit at the bottom of the pot, and it doesn't look pretty, and it makes the pot look as if, you know, it's not clean. So we don't want to have a repeat of that. All right, so we're just going to heat off this or burn off, let this water evaporate, and then we can start enter in our butter. All right, so you see what I mean right here, deposits. That is from the water, from the what do you call it, the chlorine. So we're gonna go in with our butter. I'm gonna go about 2 tablespoonfuls of butter. I'm gonna turn the stove down. And what would have happened if I did not put that water to take the heat down and I placed the butter in the pot with it being, you know, having excessive heat? What would happen is that the butter would burn, and we don't want that as well. Alright? Okay. So next, we are going to go in with 2 tablespoonfuls of flour. Okay, 1 second. I'm just going to get my measuring spoon. Which for some reason I can't seem to locate. So we're not going to waste time. We're going to use a handy dandy spoon that we have at home. And we're going to go in. Okay. Now I found it. It's okay, guys. So 1 tablespoon, 2 tablespoons. That is an all-purpose flour. Now, if you remember me saying on a previous video that I like, when I'm making roux and sauces, I like to use my whisk because I find I get to incorporate much easier. I get to work with the sauce better. It presses out any lumps that's in there, and it makes it very easy to work with. All right. So we're just gonna cook it for a little while because we want to cook off that raw flour taste before we enter our milk. Okay. So we're just gonna let it cook for a little. Now, in the back here, we're going to check on our pasta. Make sure that they're not sticking. If they're sticking, just move them around. They stick at the bottom sometimes. Okay. Now this is not going to work to take one out, so I'm going to use the tablespoon that I have. I'm going to test the pasta to see if it's ready. Okay, it's soon ready. So we're going to cover again, but of course we're going to leave it ajar. All right, now if you notice here, our butter, roux I should say, is getting dark. So we want to stop that process by entering our milk. And we enter our milk a little at a time. Alright? And you keep stirring. Keep stirring. Go in again. Now I was using a half a tin that I had already opened. So I'm going to open the other one. And guys, what I forgot, and it's not too late, I forgot to add some salt to the pasta. So we enter our salt. And we're going to stir to make sure that it's evenly distributed. And we're going to cover again. Right. And we're going to open our other milk. Guys, when you're working with sauce, you have to move pretty quick, because especially if you make a roux, because the roux thickens up pretty easy. All right, pretty easy. We're going in with the entire can. So guys, it's time to turn off our pasta. And while we wait for the sauce to come to a boil, we're going to drain our pasta, because we want to stop the cooking process. We don't want it to get too soft. Once we rinse the hot water, what I do right after is I run some cold water on the pasta, give it a stir, and then I'm going to drain it again. We want to stop the pasta from cooking. Now I'm going to move this to the back, because the back stove is still hot, so we don't want, even if we turn off and rinse the pasta and everything, because the burner is still hot, it will continue to cook the pasta, so we want to prevent that. So what we're going to do, we're going to drain it, and I'll show you what we do next. Alright guys, our pasta is drained. So what we're going to do, we're just going to go in with a little bit of vegetable oil. That is what I have at hand. But I prefer, normally when I put oil on the pasta, I prefer to use virgin olive oil. But it's okay, you can use the vegetable oil like I did. And just to keep them moist and separated. And we're going to cover that. But again, we're going to leave it ajar. Remember, when you cover it, you're basically keeping the atmosphere warm, which would promote cooking. All right, so we're going back here to our roux, and not much happening because I would have turned down the heat, because I do not want to burn the roux. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to get the grated cheese, and I'm going to bring that so we can have it close by. I'll be right back. Okay guys, so what I'll do first, I'm going to season with a little bit of salt, some black pepper, I'm going to go in with a pack of Goya Sazon. Now this Sazon, it's a flavoring. It's not the one that colors your food. It just flavors the food. Because we don't want to, have the sauce looking orange or anything like that. So, and then the last thing I'm going to put in, I'm going to put in some all-purpose seasoning. Okay, we're gonna mix that. We want to make sure that it's properly incorporated, and then we're gonna start adding our cheese. Now, I had the 2 blocks of a sharp and a mild cheddar, and the bag with the about half or just a little less than half of mozzarella. I'm gonna mix the 2 or the 3. All right, and we're gonna go in our sauce with some cheese, and we're gonna stir. So what I'm going to do now, I'm gonna actually turn my heat back up, because remember I would have turned it down so that it doesn't burn. There's nothing worse than burnt cheese sauce. Okay. Keep stirring. If you don't have a whisk, guys, get one. They're pretty handy. I mean, they work wonders. All right. Very good. Now I'm just going to give a little taste to see where we are at. Wow. Nice. Very good. Okay, guys, so what I'm going to do again, I'm just going to turn the burner down again. I'm going down to low. Remember, we don't want to burn our sauce. And I'm going to go back to the pot with the pasta. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to crack my 2 eggs. I'm going to give them a mix. And we're going to pour that into our macaroni pasta. And there's one other thing. I'm going to put a twist. I'm going to bring in a secret ingredient to the dish. And that secret ingredient we're going to put in with the cheese. And the secret ingredient is sour cream. All right. So I'm going to get a spoon. And we're going to pour some, about half of the container in. And we're going to give it a mix. Wow, creamy and nice. Lovely. Okay. And what we are going to do is we're going to mix. Remember, we had the egg mixture. So we're going to mix that. And that is going to be like a binding agent for the baked macaroni. And that prevents it from falling apart when it's finished baking. All right, so guys, you may not do it with yours, and there are so many different recipes for baked macaroni and cheese. This is just one of the variants. All right, so what I'm gonna do in the meantime, I'm going to light the stove to 350 degrees, and so that it gets preheated. All right. We're checking on our sauce again. Turn the stove back up. Good. All right, guys. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to spray my pan so that once I combine and I place it in my pan, I top it off with the cheese and we go right into the oven. All right. So I'll be right back. Okay, guys. So we would have covered our macaroni, the pasta, with our cheese at the top. We've sprinkled some paprika and some parsley for color, and we're going to pop this into the oven for 30 minutes at 350 degrees, and we'll be back to show you the finished product. And guys, this is our 30-minute marker. I've just taken it out of the oven, and I'm going to let it rest for about 10 to 15 minutes before I cut into it. Beautiful golden brown. Alright guys, our macaroni and cheese pie or baked macaroni pie is complete. It has already cooled down, so I'm going to cut into it now and take a few slices so that you can see the end product and what it looks like. Alright, so I'm going to go in right here. Alright, so I'm going to go around the edges, and remember we would have sprayed the pan, so it would be very easy to come from the pan. You should not have any issues at all. I'm just going to make sure that all areas are free before I go in. Okay, so I'm going to go in with a spatula, and maybe I should take out one of the slices first. It's nice and soft and moist inside, and I'm going to take another slice. This back. And guys, move this to the back. I'm going to put my plate here so that you can see the finished product. All right, so this is our baked macaroni and cheese, or some call it macaroni pie. Very flavorful, very cheesy and moist on the inside, and the top is crispy and lots of cheese. For cheese lovers, this is something for you. All right. Thanks again for visiting Empress Views channel. Thanks for coming with me on this journey, making another sumptuous dish for you. If you're a first-time visitor here, welcome. We welcome you with open arms. And if you're a returning visitor, welcome back. Thank you guys for viewing. Thanks for coming on this trip with me, and have a wonderful evening and God's bless. Thank you.